If you're a professional man at his highest weight, you're constantly tired, no longer feel confident and like the energetic man that you used to be, this video is for you. I'll tell you why that happened and how you can start feeling like yourself again. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I use these strategies to lose 60 pounds in 8 months and kept it off for 13 years, and I've helped dozens of men just like you lose up to 60 pounds and finally escape the yo-yo dieting cycle. If you're tired of constantly losing and gaining the same weight, I want to help you get to your healthy self without giving up the foods that you love. First problem that you have is that you've lost confidence in yourself, and that looks like that you're avoiding the photos, pictures, you don't feel like the clothes is fitting you anymore, and when you walk into the room that you want to hide and you don't feel attractive. And for example, that you've been promising yourself so many times that you want to lose weight, but you just keep breaking that promise to yourself. And what you should focusing on is rebuilding your trust in yourself, and that doesn't start with, for example, only losing 50 pounds, but it starts, for example, that you are keeping promises to yourself that you always want to figure out that higher protein diet is something that helps you with reducing the cravings. Because if you are someone who've been having a lot of stress coming back from work and you are having a lot of desire to relieve this stress, you are most likely emotional eating or binge eating to relieve the stress, and that is a very unhealthy way. So I always recommend that you have 45% daily calories come from protein, because that reduces the cravings throughout the day, but it also helps you when you are combining with a calorie deficit of 300 calories from your maintenance calories. That can help you be in a smaller calorie deficit, so you sustain that over a long period of time, and then you're losing weight. And you are keeping most of the muscles while you're losing weight, so you're going to end up with a more toned, muscular body. If you want to lose the weight for good and become the most healthiest version of yourself, just like you saw with me and my client transformation in the beginning of the video, there's a link in the description and also in the comment section where you can apply for coaching with me, and we'll see if you and I are fit to work together. If you start seeing progress with losing more weight, and you're also combining that with strength training where you're going to the gym 4 times at least, where you're targeting for example, the first day is the chest, the triceps, the next day is the back and it could be the abs, then the third day could be shoulders and biceps, and the last day could be legs. And by always starting out with 2 compound movements where you are targeting several muscle groups, you can just figure out what kind of compound movement you could try. But I always recommend that for chest, if you want to build a big upper chest, you're starting out with incline Smith machine, and then you're going into something that's called incline dumbbell press, and then you go over to cable flies, then you go over to tricep push downs, row push downs, and for example dips. And you always want to have a good mind muscle connection, because if you are figuring out where the muscle that you want to target is placed, it's easier to break down these muscle tissues, and you always have 10 to 12 reps and increasing the weight as much as you can with 2.5 kilos, for example, or 5 kilos, depending on what you are doing. And from there, you are having 60 seconds of rest, because higher intensity when you're working out, there is a better environment for you to have more muscle growth. And of course, you also need 40% of daily calories come from carbs, so you are able to sustain your energy levels. And I also recommend that you are walking 6,000 to 8,000 steps every single day. You start out with 6,000 steps, because in order to lose weight even further, you need to expend even more calories. So a combination of what I just mentioned to you can help you lose weight even more, and you're starting to feel more confident, because you're seeing that the amount of inputs that you're putting in, you're seeing some great outputs with lose more weight. Your waistline is shrinking even more, you're building more muscle, the amount of fat around the muscles is getting more reduced, so you're looking more toned, and you feel confident because you are looking yourself in the mirror and start liking yourself. The next problem that you have is that you're exhausted all the time, and you wake up like you are tired, and you feel like your eye bags is making you feel disgusted when you look yourself in the mirror, and you feel drained after work. You have no energy being with your family, and maybe also you spend most of your evening on the couch, and that is just you missing out on a lot of career opportunities and also a lot of family time. So while I also recommend that you are building a sleep pattern that helps you build more energy for your life. For example, when you are having 8 to 9 hours every single day of sleep, maybe 10 hours depending on how stressed you are, and you also want to have a good sleeping pattern where you are, for example, no drinking caffeine, coffee, tea, anything that can stimulate your energy levels after 4 p.m. because that is just, if you're going to bed like 10 p.m., there's a higher chance of you having struggles with, for example, sleeping. So always having your bed separated with a lot of technology. For example, if you can just be in your bed and you use it for sleeping and having sex, and you also, maybe if you have a wake up clock where it's installed to when you want to wake up, and you maybe have sleep curtains that is helping you to darken the room and also making it a good temperature where you don't feel it's too hot, too warm, and also have a sleeping mask and earplugs because you are canceling out all the noise so there's no disruption for you to sleep. And maybe and I also think that if it's you are trying to having a lot of thoughts that you're writing down in your journal before you're going to sleep, because that helps you remove all the stress distraction from sleeping. And also I also recommend that you are exhausting yourself throughout the day with working out. So if you are always planning like a strength workout in the gym, just like I mentioned before, because that helps you build more muscle and lose fat even faster, and you feel more comfortable in yourself. If you're feeling too bloated all the time because you are just eating too many carbs, if you're reducing the carbs to 40% of your daily calories, then also drinking 4 or 5 liters of water every single day, you are essentially helping yourself to deep-bloat yourself so you don't feel like puffiness. The more carbs you're eating, for example, for every single carb there's 4 grams of water attached. So by reducing the amount of carbs, you're deep-bloating yourself and flushing out all the water weight, and then you look more toned and you look yourself in the mirror, you don't feel like puffy, and you also feel a sense of pride because you're feeling that's the amount of confidence you want to portray in yourself is you having a beautiful picture of you actually looking confident, well dressed, have a small waist, bigger broad shoulders, and it makes you feel that you are attracted again. And you also want to just trying to accomplish all these small steps every single day, because eventually it will compound and then you will lose weight even faster. If you the first 2 weeks you've been in a calorie deficit of 300 calories and you're not losing weight even more, then you are trying to reducing the calories even further with 200 calories instead of 6,000 steps, 8,000 steps. And then you introducing, for example, cardio sessions of 4 cardio sessions a week with a resistance on a stationary bike, for example, with a heart rate of 120, because you are burning even more calories. The third problem you have is that you stop prioritizing yourself, and as someone who is always putting yourself first with work and yourself, like your health at last, like I don't want to, for example, go to the gym in healthy, I'm just eating whatever everyone else is doing, and you are also feeling like your health is making you stop up, because when you're taking the stairs it's getting harder and you feel like years is passing and the inches around your waist is just climbing up, and it makes you feel embarrassed when you are getting naked in front of your wife because you don't feel like the person that you used to be. When you look yourself in the mirror after a shower, it makes you feel that you are just not wanting to go out because you don't feel up for it and confident and energized. And sometimes you feel like your life is just stuck, because if you just keep doing the same things, you are just, I probably will say that you are losing the attraction to your wife, and she's probably going to divorce you, because at the end of the day, if you want to feel confident and happy, then your wife is also going to have a reflection of that with how she views you. So imagine that if you are just at the point where you are like this, I think that you should schedule your health like a business meeting, where you are looking at your whole calendar and you're prioritizing the most important thing for you. You're having enough time to make your meal plans. I always recommend that you are subscribing to MyFitnessPal, where you're putting in the calorie that you need to be in a calorie deficit, your macros, and then you're also having the amount of foods that you really enjoy in order to make a food plan that is sustainable and healthy. To lose weight, you want to eat foods that you enjoy, but also having some recommendation from me that you are hitting your macros. For example, protein is just the most difficult to hit because 45% of your daily calories come from protein. For example, I recommend that whey isolation, like whey impact protein from my protein, 400 grams skimmed milk, 60 grams of protein, lean chicken breast, lean ground beef, salmon, eggs, tuna, lean ground beef. That's protein sources. Carb source could be fast digestible. It could be banana. It could be cereal, slow digestible, and also muesli bars and protein bars. And slow digestible carbs could be whole wheat bread, oatmeal, whole wheat pasta, quinoa, and also throw in some veggies so you have at least 40 grams of fibers into your diet, because the higher fiber and whole foods diet you have, the less cravings you have, so you don't binge eat in the evening. That is screwing up your calorie deficit that you've been trying to create throughout the week, so you're not losing weight. So it's about being consistent and sticking to the calorie deficit. And then you are making meal plans that you just drag and drop the recipes that you really want, and you have 2 meal plans throughout the day so you can switch out. So if you are feeling less motivation with following the meal plan, it's easier to stick to that. And then you're also putting in your workouts. I usually working out in the morning because I have the most energy and I want to prioritize my workouts, because in the morning there are not so many people that makes it difficult to hit the gym. So it's just easier to be in a mental focus, because after work you're most likely feeling tired and you're preventing that, and you need to pick up the kids or you need to do grocery shopping. I always recommend that you grocery shop like 1 time a week, so you don't need to spend time in the traffic or the commotion to do the chores. So it's about planning out all the meals as well. I put, for example, 2 kilos of lean chicken breast in the oven, and then I have that for the whole week. And then I boil like 300 grams of pasta, and then just spread it out throughout the days. And I have some tomato pasta and I put into that to have pasta bolognese, some protein bars, easier to grab. Protein shake is very easy and fast to make. And also by prioritizing your sleep when you go to bed the same time every single day, it's easy to have this calendar that makes it easier to be consistent, because all these small steps is easy for you if you are doing the same things all the time. And if you are very not structured, you just need to maintain your life and don't say yes to everything, because if you're going out all the time and eating foods, it's going to devastate your calorie deficit, because you don't know how much calories there are in foods that the restaurants are preparing with the oil, butter. And I want you to treat yourself as the most important client, because if you're not good for yourself, you're not able to be there for your family. And I also want you to have more energy, confidence, and also have your health, for example, getting upwards, because it's going to affect all areas of your life. I know from experience that if I'm doing all these things, it's going to be tough in the beginning, because you're saying no to a lot of things, but eventually you'll just know that you are going to become a new man. If you are someone who's sick and tired of just being the same person, that who's just having the same excuse and missing out on so many opportunities in your life, like you used to love hiking, doing sports, but you're too fat, tired to do that. Now it's about saying that you want to create a new version of yourself that is aligned with the action that that person has, and saying to yourself is you are getting asked to get temptations for eating cake all the time, going out and eat. And of course, I'm not saying that you should never say yes to all these things, but it's about figuring out when. And then eventually you are figuring out you want to have a person who is very disciplined, confident, and being someone reliable, trustworthy to yourself. It takes saying all these small steps to saying no to all the cakes all the time, and eventually you will go to become that person, but it takes time and efforts. I'm not saying that you're perfect. I was not. I binge eat a lot and fucked up my diet, but eventually I learned from it, because the truth is, if I'm failing on myself, I'm failing on my future version of myself. And that makes it easier to be accountable to yourself, because if you also have a coach like I used to, that was easier for me to be more, I don't want to disappoint my coach because he spent time, energy to be there, mental support, and also I spend my own money, so it's like waste of my money. So the more you are investing in yourself, the more you are able to step up. And if you want to lose the weight for good and become the most healthiest version of yourself, just like you saw with me and my client transformation in the beginning of the video, there's a link in the description and also in the comment section where you can apply for coaching with me, and we'll see if you and I are fit to work together and help build a game plan to help you lose the weight for good.